Welcome to the Yorkshire Voice podcast. I'm Honor Doyle and I'm joined by Bo Varley and Eric Harewood. Hello, everybody. A missing sailor who was on board a cargo ship which crashed with an oil tanker in the North Sea is presumed dead. Owners of the freighter have confirmed it wasn't carrying containers of the toxic chemical sodium cyanide at the time. Fires are continuing to burn off the coast of East Yorkshire. Arsenio Dominguez from the International Maritime Organization says pollution impacts will be monitored.
The best case scenario, of course, is to avoid any oil spill, and as soon as the fire can be contained, immediately the next steps can be taken. But at the same time, the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency will put in place all the necessary systems in relation to contain any oil spills and avoid an environmental disaster.
The vessels are US and Portuguese flagged. The surviving sister and daughter of a family murdered at home in Hertfordshire says killer Kyle Clifford has earned his rightful spot in hell. The 26-year-old launched a crossbow and knife attack on his former partner Louise Hunt, her mum Carol and sister Hannah in Bushey last July. He was also convicted of raping his ex and has refused to leave his cell for today's sentencing. Sky's Martin Brunt at Cambridge Crown Court is reading words spoken inside by dad and husband John.
He said, when I challenge myself how you were able to deceive us all, I simply say that you were a psychopath. Your levels of misogyny are off the scale, he said.
Talks between Ukraine and the United States on how to end the war with Russia are underway in Saudi Arabia. It's been reported Ukrainian officials will propose a ceasefire, but the Kremlin hasn't publicly offered any concessions. It follows an argument during President Zelensky's visit to the White House last month. Sky's Alex Rossi in Jeddah says both sides want to work out where these negotiations should go.
These talks today are probably a prelude to further talks, and it's just a way of seeing what the landscape is, what the Ukrainians are prepared to compromise on. And from the Ukrainian side, they want to try and mend the relationship with the United States.
Overnight, Russian forces shot down hundreds of Ukrainian drones in 10 areas. On to a bit of lighter news now. Tropical World in Roundhay have recently welcomed 5 giant tortoises. The gentle giants had outgrown their previous habitat and are enjoying their new home in Leeds. Well, guys, what are your thoughts on this?
Very excited to have such exotic species.
I'm certainly a fan of this. I absolutely love going to see animals.
I'd like to visit these
wildlife
tortoises.
and stuff.
I know, it's really good. I wonder how old they are to tell, because, they get quite old.
Yeah, well, if they've outgrown their old habitat, I assume that
Ancient.
they must be a lot older. I think it's not too expensive to go down to Tropical World. It's only about £10 each, and it's open
good
Monday,
family trip. Good
Monday
date,
to Friday.
Date
Yeah, definitely. Bo, are you going to take a trip down?
I shall. I need to see these tortoises.
On to International Women's Day, which was celebrated on March the 8th, that being Saturday. International Women's Day celebrates women's achievements and raises awareness of gender inequality, while International Men's Day, on November the 19th, focuses on issues like men's mental health and societal pressures. While Women's Day is widely recognised, Men's Day often goes unnoticed, sparking debate on whether both should be equally acknowledged. Rather than competing, these days complement each other by addressing different gender challenges and promoting equality. Should International Men's Day get more attention?
I feel like it's not that there's more attention from one. I just feel like men don't know about it as a collective. So they'll comment, why is there no International Men's Day? There is.
Yeah.
You just don't care about it.
I think it's because International Women's Day is such a big thing about like women empowering other women and
celebrate it. They tend
and
to
celebrate it is because people don't know about International Men's Day. It's not celebrated like International Women's Day is.
As soon as people got to know about it and got a bit of momentum, it'd be a lot bigger.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it's just it's less known, I think, within.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's
males.
newer or like whatever. So maybe it'll just catch on in a couple of years and then it'll be the same.
Yeah, I think as generations change, it'll become more of a thing. Obviously, on social media, and people talking about it. But I think it is important that
It's just as
it's
important.
there
yeah.
because as it said about men's mental health being awareness.
And I like how they raise awareness for like taboo things within like the specific genders.
Yeah, definitely. This week marks British Science Week. The chosen topic is change and adapt, with loads of resources produced to help students and the community get involved with science. Rob Hodge, science teacher at Pudsey Grammar School, says it's essential children are taught science up to the age of 16. Let's see what he had to say.
I think it's important that science is taught at an early age, because having a working knowledge of science allows you to understand and explore your environment. It allows you to understand the way the world works. It allows you to have and develop, I believe, a sense of inquiry. Now, the question is quite specific in saying that it should be taught from an early age. Children are naturally inquisitive.
Yeah.
That inquisitive nature can be lost as they're older. By starting to teach it at an early age, and I presume that you, in terms of the question, we start teaching science in the UK from the age of 4 years old onwards.
Yeah.
You know, in the Key Stage 1 curriculum, scientific inquiry is in there. In teaching it at an early age, where we're utilising the fact that young children have a natural sense of inquiry. Now, as children get older, that sense of wonder and awe that science can bring you can be lost.
Yeah.
And science turns into something else. And as students turn into teenagers, and as we get ready to prepare them for life, science has a very different job to do. You know, where them teaching about more necessarily about the morals and the ethics involved in decisions that involve science. You obviously wouldn't teach that to a younger age. So it's obviously has to be differentiated for certain age groups. But, you know, science, what is, you have to ask yourself the question, what is science? You know, and for me, science is this case of asking questions, and there's no better person to ask a question than a young person. Yeah. And the younger the person, the broader the questions. And just to finish off my point about this question, I sometimes feel like the more I think like a younger person and approach a problem, generally the better my question and ultimately the better my understanding. I think Einstein once said, think like a child, you know, yeah. And that's the first port of call, you know. So, yeah. The second question, do you think science should be mandatory beyond GCSE? Absolutely not. 100% no. We work in the state sector, and the state sector's job is, you know, it's state education. It's education provided, funded for by the state. You know, our curriculum is designed that by the age of 16, our students who have followed the national curriculum, irrespective of which exam board, have a good working knowledge of how science works, enough to equip them in life with the major decisions that they might want to take. Decisions that are kind of quite pragmatic regarding choices of contraception.
Yeah.
Maybe decisions on energy suppliers, or maybe just a consideration of how to make informed choices. I'm just thinking about the more recent pandemic was a good example, and the misinformation that was flying around. You know, we're not trying to produce scientists here. We will inevitably produce some scientists, but the vast majority of people we teach science to, we want to lead with a good working knowledge of science so they can understand and interpret the world around them and ignore any forms of misinformation, or at least be able to identify it, for them to be able to take rational choices. That's what we're in the aim of doing. Now, obviously, if we were working maybe in the private or independent school sector, that would be a different question. You know, science there, you know, a lot of students there were kind of preparing them for A levels, but, you know, even then, I think 16 is a good time to stop.
Yeah.
Definitely. The third.
Leeds Holy Festival is back this weekend and will be taking over Project House. The Indian festival typically celebrates the arrival of spring and new life. Lots of coloured powder, dancing, singing, and an all-round good time is to be expected. What are we thinking, guys?
I love the Holly Festival.
Like, when you look at pictures, it just makes you think, oh, that looks really fun.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to
Yeah,
be
even
there.
just all the colours and stuff like that.
Yeah,
even.
exactly. So,
Such a nice, vibrant festival.
yeah, I think you can buy tickets online.
Yeah.
It's down on Armley Road. So, yeah, that's on Saturday. So, if you'd like to check out that, feel free. The production Animal Farm will start tomorrow at Leeds Playhouse. The fable is about a group of farm animals who have been neglected, oppressed, and enslaved by their farmer, Mr. Jones. I mean, I know that you two know about Animal Farm. I hadn't heard of it until I researched
Did you not do
this.
it in school?
I never did it in school.
Yeah, it's
Funny how
considered
schools
a classic.
do different.
Yeah. What's it actually about?
Well, all I remember from doing it in secondary is about how it mirrors the actual world with like dictatorships and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's based off
it's
the
very,
French Revolution.
it's very deep. So it'll be quite interesting. It's an interesting, concept that they're portrayed by farm animals. But it'll be good to see.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a big media literature buff, it's kind of one of the classics. So
Yeah.
you've got to go see it.
And
And
finally,
I wonder how they're going to execute
Oh.
like the costumes and everything.
yeah,
like that.
I mean,
That interests me.
it definitely plays like that. Always amazed me
Yeah.
with their costume because I remember once to see The Lion King and it's just like crazy how
'Cause
they can.
are they going to act
how
as
creative they
humans,
can be.
or are they actually going to dress up as pigs and things like that?
I imagine they'll
curious.
dress up.
Like, are they going
Well,
to Doctor Who it with the pig snout? And
They'll have to pay a
I
visit.
hope so.
And finally, Leeds United are playing Millwall tomorrow at 7:45. Thoughts after last week's win or the week before's win?
Big game, bit of a rivalry between the two as of usual. But Leeds should be favourites. They're top of the table by it's about 6 points now. So hopefully they'll get it across the line and they can get closer to promotion.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye.